Hi, it's Stuart from the Courtyard Kitchen again. Today I'm going to make basically a form of pulled pork. It's a recipe called Carnitas, which is a Mexican pulled pork, and it's done in a slow cooker over a 10-hour period. So it should hopefully come out really tender, literally falling apart. To start off, we have just over 2 kilos or a bit over 4 pounds of boned pork shoulder, also known as pork butt. But it's actually a shoulder of pork that pulled pork is made from. The first thing I've done, I've taken the wrapping off, taken off the string, because this is intended to go in as a roasting joint when you get it from the supermarket. And what I'm going to do is just quickly take the skin, the rind, off the joint, because I want to make sure that the rub that's going to give this its flavour is actually going onto the meat, because it just wouldn't get down through the rind if you left it on. So literally just following underneath, following the line of the fat rind so I don't waste any meat. And that is basically it. If you buy the meat from a butcher, you could ask them to take the rind off for you, because it does take a very sharp knife. You need to be quite careful, because using a fair bit of force to take the rind off. I've put the trimmed pork into a bowl because the next stage is a little bit messy. The seasonings for this are quite simple. It's 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Take the lid off this because it's a tablespoon of oregano. And 2 teaspoons of cumin, which is a spice that is used a lot in Mexican cooking. It makes a real difference to anything I'm making chili. So mix those together into a paste. And that's it, ready for the next stage, which is putting it onto the pork. There's no easy way to do the next bit, so basically got a pair of gloves on. Pour the rub all over the top of the pork. And basically rub it in. I have transferred the pork to the liner of my slow cooker, and I'll put the other cooking ingredients on. Basically, I'm just going to onions on and around this. The onions I had are quite small, so I'm using a couple of them. I also then have 4 cloves of garlic, which I have minced. I'll just dot that around. Over the process of the slow cook, this will all blend together and cook right down until there's next to nothing left. The recipe has jalapeno in it. Now, I couldn't get jalapenos fresh anyway. I had chilies in the freezer, so I'm going to do that instead. Quite often you're put off actually doing a recipe because it calls for an ingredient that you're only going to use in that one. With the like of chilies and some herbs, what I do when I use what I need, the chilies I cut in half, de-seed and put them in a container and put them into the freezer. Literally 10 minutes out of the freezer and they were ready to cut. And the last ingredient may sound a bit strange, but it's the juice of 3 freshly squeezed oranges. And that's all there is to carnitas. The liner into the slow cooker. Put it back on. And you can cook this in a slow cooker on high for 7 hours or low for 10 hours. I'm going to cook it on high because I want to have time later on this evening to cool the meat properly and put it into a fridge. If you don't happen to have a slow cooker or you don't want to use one, you can always cook this dish in a conventional oven. Preheat it to 160 degrees. Put the joint on a roasting tin with a couple of cups of water and the orange juice and the other ingredients. Wrap it tightly in foil and cook it for 2 hours. Then take the foil off, check it that there's enough liquid, and put it back into the oven uncovered for another hour and a half. You won't need to refry it when you're going to use it because it will develop the bark or the crust that you would normally get from oven roasting. Well, it's steamed up, but it's been running now for just a bit over 7 hours. The smell in the house of cumin, spices and so on has been unbelievable today. Just check it and yeah, it's just breaking apart. That's perfect. Next stage, lift the meat out and shred it. There's definitely no issue with the meat not being tender. It's going to be a bit of a challenge to get it lifted out, but we've done it. I just want to put it in a larger tray to give me some more space to actually shred the meat up. And we'll deal with all of the cooking liquor, or what's left of it, after that. As it should be, literally falling apart. As you can see too, it's pretty much pure meat because with the slow cooking process, any fat that's there has basically rendered down, become part of it all. And it's literally a huge tray of solid meat. Carnitas, or in Spanish, small pieces of meat. And that is the finished dish. Basically what I did after I shredded the meat, I put the cooking liquor back over it and mixed it through it. What I will then do is portion this up once it's cooled into individual portions in bags, put it in the freezer as it is. Then when you want to use it, take out individual portions, put them into a frying pan with the smallest amount of oil. And what will happen is that the orange juice and the cooking liquid will actually caramelise and give you that nice crispy finish that you get with traditionally pulled pork. I'm going to have it in wraps with some shredded lettuce, a bit of guacamole and a little bit of salsa. There'll be some coleslaw on the side, but you can do whatever you want with it. Dead easy, dead cheap, big pot of it, probably about 10 portions of meat there for £8. Do give it a go. I think we'll probably have this one in the courtyard when we get back to normal again.